My ex-girlfriend showed up at my door after 7 years of no contact, carrying a child and demanding support for a son I didn't even know existed. But the moment she saw my wife, she froze, as if she suddenly realized she had made a terrible mistake. The day started like any other. I was home about to finish up some work when the doorbell rang. My wife, Sarah, called out from the kitchen, "Honey, can you get that?" Opening the door, I was stunned. Standing there like a ghost from the past was Laura, my college girlfriend, the one I had a wild, intense relationship with in my early 20s. We'd broken up suddenly, and after 7 years, I had all but forgotten about her. But there she was, looking older, a little worn, and holding a young boy by the hand. He looked to be about 6 or 7, with her same dark hair and striking green eyes. For a second, I couldn't even find words. "Laura?" "Hello, James," she said, her voice steady, but her eyes darting from me to the hallway behind me. She bit her lip, as though struggling with something big. The child beside her clutched her hand, looking up at me curiously. What are you doing here?" I stammered, caught entirely off guard. Laura shifted on her feet, her eyes now focused entirely on me. "I need your help. This is Oliver," she said, motioning to the boy. "Your son." The words hit me like a ton of bricks. My son? That couldn't be right. We'd broken up when I was 21, and as far as I knew, we hadn't been in contact since. I took a closer look at the boy, who was gazing at me with a serious expression, as if sizing me up. I opened my mouth to respond, but before I could say anything, Sarah came to the door, her hand on my shoulder. "James, is everything all right?" The second Laura saw her, her face changed. She froze, as if only just realizing something monumental. Who, who is this?" Laura asked, her voice barely a whisper. Her gaze flicked from Sarah to me, and then back to Sarah, as if she were calculating the impact of what she just said. "This is my wife," I replied, suddenly aware of how insane this whole situation was. Laura looked stunned, as if she hadn't even considered that I might have moved on, let alone started a new life. For a long, tense moment, nobody spoke. Sarah looked from Lara to me, clearly waiting for an explanation. "Your wife?" Laura's face drained of color, and she took a shaky breath, as if reality had just hit her. I didn't realize," she said, stumbling over her words. "I thought—" It dawned on me that, whatever her intentions were, she hadn't expected this. She looked at me like she had been banking on a different scenario, one where I might still be single and available to help her without complications. She probably imagined me opening the door, alone and willing to rekindle something from years ago. "Laura, I don't understand," I said, my voice sharp. "You show up after 7 years, no warning, no contact, and just say I have a son?" Laura looked down at Oliver, who was watching all of this with wide, curious eyes, clearly not understanding the full weight of the situation. "I didn't know where else to go," she murmured. I thought you would help. That maybe—" Sarah took a step closer to me, her hand now gripping mine, a silent but powerful show of support. "James has a family now, Laura," she said gently but firmly. "Whatever happened in the past, showing up unannounced like this is a lot to take in." I took a deep breath, struggling to wrap my head around it all. "Laura, if what you're saying is true, then we need to talk about this. But it's not going to be as simple as you imagine." I gestured toward Sarah. "This is my family now, too." Laura's shoulders sagged, and for a moment, she looked vulnerable, almost lost. "I'm sorry, I thought I could do this, that it would be simple, but I didn't expect you'd be married." Her voice cracked, and she looked down, as if realizing the weight of her decisions all at once. I glanced at Oliver, who was still looking up at me with those wide green eyes so much like Laura's. "Laura, if Oliver is my son, we'll figure it out. But it's going to take time and patience, and you'll need to be honest with me from here on out." Laura nodded, biting her lip, and slowly released Oliver's hand. "I'll give you time," she said, stepping back. Her eyes were glassy, as though holding back tears. As she turned to leave, Oliver's hand slipped from hers, and he looked back at me one last time. I felt a pang of something, some unspoken responsibility, a connection I couldn't explain. I didn't know what the future held, but in that moment, I knew my life had changed forever.